My Little Pony is owned by Hasbro and DXX Media. Please support the official release. Hello YouTube. This is my first story. It's a Luna story. And I just came up with it. It's not that great, but I'm going to read it anyway. And if you guys have any suggestions on how to make it better, just let me know. I'm going to try to do some of the voices, but I'm not going to really get that far into it, so let's just going to give it a try here. And here we go. I called Twilight in Your Eyes by me. In Ponyville, it was a sunny day, the birds chirping, the wind blowing. At the Castle of Friendship, Twilight Sparkle was in her library pacing back and forth. Twilight had a bad habit of talking out loud whenever she got frustrated. Twilight said to herself, "What if she says no? What will our friends think? What will Celestia think? What does this mean for our future?" Twilight started chewing on her front hoof. Suddenly there was a knock at the library door. Twilight called out, "Come in." The door swung open, and it was Starlight Glimmer. "You wanted to see me, Twilight?" said Starlight. "Yes, I did. I wanted to ask your advice." "About what?" "I have something shocking to tell you. I'm sorry I didn't mention it earlier, but it's very personal," said Twilight. "And I would ask that if you could keep this between us for now." "Of course," said Starlight. "Anything you say will be held in strict confidence." "Thanks," Twilight said. Starlight thought to herself, what would Twilight want to keep from the other girls? Oh well, I guess I'll find out in a minute. Twilight looked at the floor, rubbing her hoof on the floor in a circle. "I've been in a secret relationship for the past 2 years. And the reason I didn't say anything about it is because of who it is." Twilight, looking nervous, stared at the floor and said, "It's Princess Luna." Twilight expected Starlight to be shocked. But when Twilight looked up, she saw Starlight trying to hold back a smirk and act like she was laughing. Twilight thought to herself, why is it so funny that I have a special sun pony? Is that so hard to believe? Starlight looked at the floor embarrassedly and said, "Yeah, I know all about it." A look of shock appeared on Twilight's face. "What do you mean?" asked Twilight. "Well, you see, remember back when I was trying to take your friends from you and destroy space-time? Well, I stalked you for a good 6 months, and I kinda saw you guys sneak off several times. I never spied on you guys while you were alone. I just want to make that clear. I still had my limits even back then." Twilight put a hoof to her head. "Oh, alright, well, that's in the past. We can let it go for now. Anyway, I just wanted to get your advice on it. I've been with Luna for 2 years now, and I think it's time to take the relationship to another level." "What do you mean?" said Starlight. "Well," Twilight said, "I'm planning to ask her to marry me." Starlight's eyes shot wide open. She says, "Wow, I didn't expect that." "Yeah, well, I've been thinking about this for quite some time," said Twilight. "We're very happy together, and I'm kinda tired of keeping this secret from everybody else." "What do you think about it, Starlight? What do you think our friends would say?" Starlight thought to herself for a moment. "Well, I think that they'd all be very supportive of this, Twilight. There's no way they'd turn against you just because of who you love." Twilight smiled. You think so? She said, looking kind of meek. Of course, said Starlight. We love you, Twilight, and we always will. There's no way the girls would turn against you for this. Thanks, Starlight. I really needed to hear that. No problem, Twilight. Is there... Well, when are you going to ask her? I can't wait to see what's going to happen here. I was going to ask her tonight. Tonight? That's awesome. Don't worry, Twilight. I'm sure she'll say yes. Thanks, Starlight. You've been a real support for me. I don't think I could have done this without talking to you first. And no problem, Twilight. Good luck. Let me know how it turns out. Alright, Twilight said. See you later. Starlight walked out of the library, just gleaming. Twilight thought to herself, you know, I feel much better. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to do this tonight. And Twilight sat down at her desk and filled out her list that she needed for tonight. Later that night, it was a nice quiet night. Luna had just raised the moon, and Twilight prepared for their weekly dinner date. She made a very romantic dinner with candlelight, music playing in the background, and decorations in the hall. Twilight, very nervous, stood in her seat while she waited for Luna. Luna walked in and said, "Good evening, Twilight. How's my favorite princess doing?" Twilight blushed, gave Luna a kiss, said, "Just fine. How are you today?" she asked Luna. Luna said, "Today went well, but I think Tia is starting to suspect something. I think she might know about us. Well, at least she knows I have someone, but I don't think she knows who." Twilight thought for a second, said, "Well, that's kind of what I want to talk to you about tonight," said Twilight. "It's now been 2 years since we got together, and I want to take our relationship to the next step." Twilight looked at the ground. "Whatever do you mean?" asked Luna. Twilight took a box out of her nightstand. It contained a beautiful gold ring with a purple gem carved in the shape of a crescent moon. Twilight went over to Luna, bent down on her knee, and said, "Luna, I love you more than anyone I have ever met, and I think it's time for us to be together for the rest of our lives." "Luna," Twilight said, "will you marry me?" With a hopeful expression on her face. Luna was shocked. She did not expect this. She started thinking, what will the public think? What will Tia think? Am I ready for this? But one look into Twilight's velvet eyes just melted her heart, and the answer was clear as day. "Of course I'll marry you, Twilight." Luna started crying, and Twilight hugged her. The two kissed passionately. They locked lips for a whole minute, until they had to come up for air. Twilight looked at Luna and said, "I don't know what you would have done. I don't know what I would have done if you had said no." Luna said, looking lovely at Twilight, "I could never say no to you. You love me for who I am." After a few minutes, they both calmed down. Luna spoke first. "This means we must tell everybody about us." "I know," said Twilight. "That's..." Luna spoke up. "I think it would be a good idea if I told my sister myself. I don't know how she'll take it, but I'm hoping she will accept it," Luna said. Twilight looked at the floor. "I hope so. Luna and Twilight decided to call their friends to the castle to announce the wedding. Only Starlight and Spike knew the truth about their relationship. Others had some idea Twi was keeping a secret from them, but decided it was a personal secret and not to push her on it. But they had no idea who she was actually dating. A few days went by, and there was a knock on Celestia's door. Celestia raised her eyebrow to think who could be there, disturbing her at this hour. She put her book down and unlocked the door with her magic, and in walked her sister Luna. Celestia says, "Luna, I didn't expect to see you here. Shouldn't you be asleep?" "Yes, I should," said Luna, "but there is something I must tell you, sister. You may be shocked, but it is very important." "Of course, Luna, you can tell me anything," Celestia said. Luna looked at the floor and said, "I'm getting married." A look of shock came across Celestia's face. All kinds of questions swirling in her head. When did this happen? Who is he? When did you meet him? Why didn't you tell me? Luna looked at Celestia and said, "I met her 2 years ago at the Nightmare Night Festival. She was the only one to treat me like a real pony. She was the only one who didn't run in terror, who helped me regain who I am." A confused look came across Celestia's face. "Her?" she asked. Luna replied, "Yes, her." "Is that why you didn't want to tell me?" Celestia asked. "Because you think I wouldn't approve of you dating a mare?" Luna said, "That was only part of it." Then Celestia thought to herself, "Wait a minute. I thought Twilight helped you on a Nightmare Night Festival. Wasn't she the one?" Celestia's words stopped right there. It hit her at that moment. "You and Twilight are getting married?" Celestia was awestruck. Didn't know what to say. Celestia looked at Luna. Said, "How could you not tell me about this? She's like a daughter to me, Luna." Luna looked at Celestia with a scowl on her face. "She's not your daughter. She's the only one who has ever loved me for being me, and I would not give her up for anything, Celestia. I love her with all my heart." Celestia was confused. She did not know what to think about this. She looked at Luna and said, "I need some time to think about this." Luna said, "I understand, sister. We are getting married in a week. I'd love for you to be there. If not, I understand. The wedding will be at Twilight's castle. Just know, sister, we love each other very much, and I ask that you accept that." Luna turned around and walked out the door. Celestia's emotions were all over the place. She was mad at Luna keeping this from her. She was disappointed that her faithful student would not tell her about this, and she felt betrayed. But on the other hoof, she knew her sister well enough to know she would not do anything like this lightly. Back in Ponyville, Twilight Sparkle was in her castle reading up on wedding traditions, when all of a sudden, Princess Celestia landed on her balcony with a bang. Boom! Twilight shouted, "Ah! Celestia, what are you doing here?" Twilight said in a nervous voice. Celestia had a determined look on her face. "We need to talk," Celestia said. Twilight looked sheepishly at her mentor. "I knew this was coming," she said. Twilight said, "Before you start, I just want to say, I love Luna with all my heart. She is the only one for me. I wish I could have told you, but Luna wanted to keep it quiet. So, I am so sorry, Celestia. I didn't mean to hurt you." Celestia thought to herself for a minute. Maybe I went a little overboard on this, as she looked at Twilight's expression. Her heart softened, and she looked at Twilight with understanding and said, Of course, Twilight. I am disappointed you did not come to me with this, but I understand. I have never seen Luna happier. Than she is now. If you two want to be married, I will not stand in your way. Twilight started crying and hugged her. Oh, thank you, Celestia. I am so sorry I didn't tell you. Celestia looked at her with a loving gaze. Don't worry, Twilight. I will always be here for you. The next morning, at Twilight's Castle, Applejack, Rarity, Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, and Starlight and Spike, and Rainbow Dash, all walked into the throne room and sat around the map. They were discussing why they were there. Rainbow said, what do you think guys think is going on here? Applejack said, well, Twi said she had something to announce, and had something to do with Luna. Fluttershy says, oh, I hope everything is okay. Pinkie Pie said, I hope it's a party. Starlight looked around the room, nervous expression. I'm sure whatever it is, it's important, Rarity said. Rarity noticed Starlight's expression. Said, is there something you want to tell us, dear? Starlight said, no, nothing here. Nothing to say. Then Applejack said, oh well, we'll find out soon enough. Then the door opened to the library. Luna and Twilight walked in. Side by side. Closer than normal. Twilight spoke first. I have something to tell you guys, and it might shock you. But this is not a prank. This is real. Twilight gave a loving look back to Luna, which Rarity immediately noticed. Rarity raised an eyebrow. Are you two? Before she could say anything else, Luna spoke up. Yes, we are together. And we're getting married. The others gasped. Rainbow said, when did this happen? Why didn't you tell us? There were shocked looks all around the table, except for Starlight and Spike, which already knew about the whole thing. Twilight looked at Luna. We started hanging out shortly after Nightmare Night Festival. One thing led to another, and we eventually got together. We didn't think it was appropriate to announce it because I was still Celestia's student at the time, and it might have caused a scandal in the papers. Applejack spoke up first. You know, you didn't have to hide this from us, Twi. We would have never thought less of you. Applejack said. Rarity spoke next. I think it's great you two found each other, and I can't wait to decide your dresses, Rarity said, clapping her hooves together. Pinkie spoke up next. Oof, I'm glad I don't have to keep that secret anymore. Twilight raised an eyebrow. You knew? She said. Of course I knew. I know everything that happens in this town. Remember my party planning cave? Said Pinkie. Twilight rolled her eyes. Of course she knew. It's impossible to keep a secret from Pinkie. Twilight laughed. Rainbow spoke next. I think that's awesome! I hope you two are happy as can be. I fully support you and never desert my friends. Luna and Twilight breathed a sigh of relief. Now they can concentrate on their future. It was decided that Luna would move into Twilight's castle. Celestia was disappointed that they weren't coming to Canterlot, but she understood. This was going to be a gigantic wedding. Biggest in equestrian history. Not only was it a royal wedding, but it was a wedding between two princesses. Something Equestria has never seen before. The preparation for the wedding took forever. They were expecting tens of thousands of ponies. Wonderbolts were scheduled to perform, and Twilight would have preferred a smaller, more intimate ceremony. But with both her and Luna being princesses, it was pretty much unavoidable to do a big spectacle. But she didn't really care. All she cared about was her beloved Luna. A wink went by. Rarity made 2 of the most beautiful dresses you ever seen for the brides. She put all she had into it, and they fit Luna and Twilight like a tea. Peaky prepared the reception, and Applejack was in charge of the catering. Starlight Glimmer was honored as best mare, and Cadence and Shining Armor showed up to support their sister and sister-in-law. Princess Celestia was performing the ceremony. On the morning of the wedding, Twilight's in her dressing room, nervous as you'd expect. And Twilight, being Twilight, was having one of her typical freakouts, worrying about everything. But lucky, Fluttershy there was there to soothe her nerves. "Don't worry about anything, Twilight," said Fluttershy. "Just think of Luna. We love you very much, Twilight, and all we want is for you to be happy," said Fluttershy. Twilight looked at Fluttershy and said, "Thank you. That makes me feel so much better." A knock on the door. It was Rarity. "It's time," she said. Twilight took a deep breath and walked out. It was a beautiful day outside, not a cloud in sight. It was decided to hold the wedding outside the castle because too many ponies were showing up to fit inside. It was decided that Twilight and Luna would walk down the aisle together, to demonstrate that they are indeed equals. Octavia and her quartet started playing the wedding march as they walked down the aisle. When they got to the dais, Luna said to Twilight, "I have lived over 1,000 years and never has been as happy as I am right now. You, Twilight, are the reason I am me again." Twilight teared up a bit and said, "Luna, I never thought I could love some pony as much as I love you." The two hugged. Princess Celestia started speaking. "Mares and gentle colts, welcome to the wedding of Princess Twilight Sparkle and Princess Luna. Their love is undeniable, their commitment is unbreakable. Although some might think their love is strange, love does not know gender. Life is an unpredictable thing. What makes it worthwhile are those we love." Celestia said, "Spike, can we have the rings?" Spike held up a small pillow with 2 rings on it. Twilight's ring was a gold band with a gem carved like her element of harmony. Luna's ring was a gold ring with a jewel carved like her crescent moon. Celestia spoke. "Do you, Princess Twilight Sparkle, take Luna to be your lawfully wedded wife, in sickness and health, till death you do your part?" "I do," said Twilight. "And Luna, do you take Princess Twilight Sparkle as your lawfully wedded wife, for sickness and health, until death you do your part?" "I do," said Luna, and the two kissed passionately. Fireworks went off, everybody cheered, and Rainbow Dash did her sonic rainbow to tie up the ceremony. Twilight looked lovingly into Luna's eyes and said, "Wait till you see what I got planned for the honeymoon." Luna chuckled. "I can't wait." The end. Well, that's my story. I know it's not the greatest thing ever, but that's what I came up with. Thanks for listening, and bye.